All right, welcome, Crystal. Thank you so much for being on our Spotlight series for the Best in Utah Public Health. I'm excited to jump in and share all about you, and then dive into all these questions and learn more about you and your practices that you do. So, without further ado, I'm going to read your bio here for our audience, and then we'll jump into those questions. So, Crystal is offering yoga, hypnobirthing, and more in Salt Lake and Utah counties. Crystal Lyon is a trained prenatal yoga and registered hypnobirthing instructor, passionate about sharing her love for all things birth and yoga. She shares a comprehensive approach to birth education and yoga classes that encourage a positive mind, meditation, stretching, mental centering, focused breathing, just to name a few. That can help prepare you for a more peaceful pregnancy and birth. Crystal has been married to Ben, the love of her life, for 20 years. Congratulations, by the way. And they have three amazing kids. Keelan, Kate, you're going to have to pronounce their names for me.
Kellen, Kinley, and Nora.
And Nora. If you want to make her happy and get her dancing, blast some rap music, specifically Snoop Dogg. She can touch her nose with her tongue, but cannot roll her tongue. On a weekend, you'll usually find her in her jammies, snuggling her family and eating some yummy food. Awesome. What a pleasure it is to have you here, Crystal. Why don't we just jump right in and what got you into yoga and hypnobirthing and all the things birth?
Okay. Well, I appreciate you for giving the questions beforehand because I I don't have notes, so I might be referring to those every once in a while. I'm all over the place, but I've listened to some of your interviews already, and it's funny how it's like many are just like, I was called to it. It wasn't something that I was planning on, this, that, the other, and very much the same for me. I went to college, got a college degree, thought I'd be doing something else rather than sitting on a mat all day long and watching birth videos and all the stuff birth. But it was something that I feel like for sure was like I was called to. And mine's a little sad to my journey is a little sad, but this last week I always like to include intentions in my classes, and I found this one that just kind of sums up my story, and it says difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. And so my story kind of goes along in the way of I was just living life and started having my kids, and unfortunately I have experienced loss in my pregnancy years. I have 3 babies but 6 pregnancies, so miscarriage and ectopic pregnancy is a part of my journey. And so I that's kind of was where things started. And then with my last pregnancy, so I have 3 babies, and my last pregnancy about 9 years ago, kind of with all of that said, there was also some other things that were happening. Life was just really hard. I lost my brother and my dad within a 2-month period of time, and I was pregnant with my last baby. And because of my experience of losing babies and all the things, I had just this deep-seated fear of what if something happens, especially with the storms that were brewing around me with the loss of my family. And so I was scared. I was so scared that I might lose another child. So that is actually when I found yoga. I had never before that. Well, I guess when I was a kid, I went to 1 or 2 yoga classes with my sister, at a studio. But I just at that point I was just I know I need to move my body, and so I just found some yoga classes online, prenatal yoga classes, and just fell in love with it. I remember just practicing in this little tiny house that we had in South Salt Lake at the point, and just thinking to myself, my gosh, I love this. And it was where it healed my heart and grounded me and rooted me. And it was my anchor in those storms. And I was also preparing for my next birth. I have used hypnobirthing, the Mongan method, with all of my births. And so I was I found yoga, prenatal yoga at that point, was preparing for my birth, and just the two together just were like I mentioned, just my anchor. Hypnobirthing and yoga I'll probably talk a little bit about this, just hand in hand, just like complemented each other. And yeah, that's kind of where my seed was planted. And like I said, 9 years ago, never thought that this is something that I would be doing, but that's how my journey started. And I don't know everything about birth. I listened to all these different interviews and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so knowledgeable. But you know, I do believe that school's never out for the teacher. And so, you know, I'm loving just this journey that I'm on, and having the opportunity to learn from families that I'm able to serve, and learn from, all of you awesome, amazing people. We've got an awesome community here in Utah for
Really,
sure.
yeah. Awesome. Well, that's a great story. Sad, but beautiful story in the end, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. What do you feel like makes you different in your approach and the way you teach and your yoga, like all the things like that? What's your difference?
So I'm gonna like break them up: hypnobirthing and then yoga. So I teach hypnobirthing, the Mongan method. There's a lot of hypnobirthing different methods out there nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
The Mongan method was developed in the 90s. It was the first actually out of all of them. And it was developed by a hypnotherapist. Her name's Marie Mongan. That's why it's called the Mongan method. And the difference, I think, a lot of childbirth education course, they can like flow along kind of along the like what's happening now when you're pregnant, during that perinatal time, before, during, and after birth. But what we kind of bring in is that we try to teach and encourage that the mind leads the body. The mind has a big impact on birth. If your mind is scared from fear of anything, not necessarily fear of birth itself, but fear of like the unknown, like, hey, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know how to deliver a baby, So it's funny that they don't teach us that sort of stuff, and that we have to seek out that education afterwards. But we truly believe in that the mind leads the body, and that through it's called hypnobirthing, so hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Through hypnosis, which for me as a yoga teacher, I really resonate with the thought of it being more like deep meditation. So like hypnosis and meditation are basically the same. Hypnosis, we basically just have kind of like we put those blinders on. We have like a goal in mind, like a peaceful, more whatever pregnancy, just our birth, like a more peaceful birth, and being able to be a little bit more mindful of the act in itself. So yeah, we work with the mind a lot through affirmations, meditations, hypnosis, visualizations, breathing, education. Just education is powerful in the birth world. Again, if you don't, we don't know what's really going on. Birth is pretty simple, but it is if you think in one way, and in other ways it may not be so quite simple. But yeah, we just give you tools and techniques to be able to perhaps be a little bit more mindful about birth and during birth. And that we were all meant to do this. Women have been birthing for a long time, and then just kind of like opening up the eyes to what birth really is. So as well as I'm a little different of a hypnobirthing teacher. I did not have home births. Many of my hypnobirthing sisters all had home births, and without medication. I truly believe that all birth is natural, whether you have medication, whether you have an epidural, whether you have a C-section, whether it's without medication. So my 3 babies, I've got 3 different birth stories, and I think it's funny because for all birth has its own journey, like they're all different. And so I truly believe that hypnobirthing is for any birth, and any birth is beautiful, no matter if it's in the forest, at your home, wherever. It's beautiful, and if it takes a different journey, if your journey is different than perhaps your vision of birth, that is okay. And that happens, and it's okay for sure. So yoga. So I model my classes. What's kind of makes me different, I think, is that I model my classes after birth, after the rhythms of birth. So I've mentioned that birth is kind of simple in the way that basically what birth is a surge or a contraction, then you have a rest. Surge or contraction, then a rest, so a contraction comes in and it kind of peaks, goes back down. It's slow as it starts, peaks. And so that's what I do with my classes. I start my classes out. We're in, seated positions, hands and knees positions. We start out slow. We have some peak postures, but then we also have rest times in between. I bring in restorative yoga, as well as vinyasa yoga. So we've got movement, slow, maybe a little quicker. It's gentle yoga, very much gentle. It's for all phases of pregnancy, trimesters, before, during, and after. So that fourth trimester as well. But yeah, so I bring in a lot of rest. I bring in a lot of touch. I believe in the power of hands-on. Some people don't get that. And, of course I bring in aromatherapy, and I love music. So that kind of is what makes me a little bit different in those two areas.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all that. That was great. Kate, who would you say is an ideal fit for you? Like, what's your favorite, client to work with?
So really anybody that perhaps wants a more intentional pregnancy and birth. Those who are seeking out perhaps a little bit of movement in their pregnancy for yoga, that are seeking out help with pain, all those little aches and pains that can come in the pelvis and the sacral joints, IT bands. So just really anybody that is wanting a little bit more of an intentional pregnancy and birth, but also people who may be serious about that. Sometimes people come in and I do tell my hypnobirthing families, I'm like, this really does work if you do. And it's not hard. All you have to do is relax and practice a few breathing techniques. So really anybody who is who is seeking out a little bit more peace in their pregnancy, before, during, and after pregnancy.
Awesome. Okay, what does the process look like to work with you then? How does someone sign up?
So really it's I've got myself some good processes through my website and through Google. People can Google prenatal postpartum yoga or hypnobirthing, and usually I'll pop up, and then everything is just kind of streamlined through my website. It just kind of allows you, there's some pages that talk about prenatal and postpartum yoga as well as hypnobirthing, and then it basically says, do you want to register? Do you want to sign up? Hypnobirthing is a little bit different. I only do hypnobirthing 4 times a year, just with my family's busy life right now. That's all I'm able to do. And so those pop up every once in a while. But yoga, I do every Saturday and every other Tuesday night at your amazing space there in Lyon. Awesome. Love it. And so yoga, you basically just buy what I call a class pass, and you can save some money by, if you buy a bigger one, you can buy just a single class pass as well, and then you just go in there and you can see when we have classes, and you can just sign up through there.
Awesome. Okay. Next question is, what does recovery look like to you from that pregnancy to postpartum transition?
So how do I help with my...
How do you help? How do you view it? What's your ethos around recovery, as you will?
Okay. So in hypnobirthing, we do chat a little bit about that 4th trimester, how important it is to I mean, of course, you have a new baby, right? And many times, especially in our westernized culture, that's all we focus on. Although it's changing, and I'm so happy about that. But I do grind in a little bit about like how important it is to be mindful of not only baby but also family, mom and partner, how important it is to take care of yourself. Many different cultures outside of our culture, they really put big emphasis on that fourth trimester, on that recovery time. And like in the Hispanic culture, they have 40, like 40 days that they stay in and around their home, and nourishing foods, high protein foods, and nourishing the body. I always suggest get a massage if that's in the budget. If not, have your partner give you a massage. And just really making sure that you're paying attention to not only baby, loving and figuring out however you want to feed your baby, whether it's breastfeeding or not, getting that all figured out, sleeping, but also making sure that you're taking care of you. They say that a woman, their energy field after birth is wide open, and so it's super super important to just make sure to kind of protect that as best as they can. So yeah, taking care of yourself in that way in that postpartum time.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, what is something that most people think that you should think, or let me start over. What is something that most people don't know that you think that they should know, either about hypnobirthing or birth in general, or yoga, or it can be any topic? What's like the one thing, little nugget that you can give us?
So I think it's important through that I think people should know that it's okay to be still, to settle, I mean, again, back in our culture, our society, all we just go, 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 go. And I think it's super important that we realize that we don't have to do that all the time, that it is important to take those times of rest as well. And then kind of just about my something else that I think that people don't realize that I do private sessions as well. It's actually been a really big thing lately, where I bring everything to you, mostly just hypnobirthing right now. And sometimes people can't make classes, or like I talked to a family yesterday, a sweet, cute mom. She was like, my boyfriend does not want to be in front of everybody watching birth videos. And, sometimes you just want it to be a little bit more intimate. So I do private classes. And I also work with senior citizens. So I have a birth and all the way up to senior citizens. So I think in the way of not birth, of yoga. I love anybody and everybody in all bodies.
Love that. Love that. Kate, is there anything special that you want to promote besides like your one-on-one yoga and things like that to our audience?
Just that I do have a hypnobirthing session coming up. Wasn't able to do one this fall, like a group session, but the one for winter is coming up. You can just check out that on my website, which is CRYSTAL, and then there's a dash LYON.com. And then just yoga. Come to yoga.
Great. Okay, last question. My favorite question to ask is, what do you want to be known for?
That like we can pursue things, that it's okay to pursue things that can decrease fear, as well as know that any journey of birth is beautiful. That's kind of one big thing that I'm like always trying to advocate, that like, in our especially right now, it's like, that's the cool thing to, birth in this way and without medication. And I love that. And I want that for those who want that. But I also want to let those others who perhaps maybe the journey didn't go in the way that you were like anticipating, to realize that any birth is beautiful, any which way that your baby is born.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. You already listed out your website. Where else can we find you? Social media, all things like that.
My Instagram, I told you I'm really bad with with anything technical. So my Instagram is Crystal, and then there's an _D_Lyon, and all that. You can find all that stuff on my website too. But that's really all that I'm on. Is just Instagram and my website. So
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Crystal, for coming on the Spotlight series. Thank you for all your knowledge and information. Thank you for sharing our space with us and hosting the hypnobirthing and yoga here. We love having you. Our patients love having it. And thank you for everything that you do in the community here.
You betcha. And thank you. You are amazing. And I'm so happy that you're doing this. You're just bringing all this awesome knowledge to the top, to the forefront, and we can find it easily. So
Yeah, thank you.